good evening. Instagram have taken away the ability to do live for anybody under 1,000 viewers, under 1,000 followers. So I'm doing this instead, which, you know, there we go, that's a better flame, isn't it? So yes, I don't know how long this ramble will go on for, but hey. So as you can see, for those in the know, Athon Sham is on the build pile, and a Night Lord Lord with a jump pack has already been assembled. But what was I going to talk about tonight? Well, it's something that sort of struck me, is that the Primarchs and the various Space Marine chapters, legions, they all represent obviously an aspect of the Emperor, but I feel there's also an element of emotion, mental health, everything like that, which they can also be interpreted as. So I was going to consider how that is the case, and how it sort of informs my choices when I'm doing various things involving hobby. So I think primarily, anybody who knows me knows that I love the Raven Guard. So Raven Guard, why do I love the Raven Guard? Easy. Because when I had one of my cats, the first one to come into my life, he was small, he was black, and he was adorable. And I went through all the Primarch names, because I was going to name him after a Primarch, and I named him Corax. And that settled it in my mind right there and then. I love Corax, and I would do Raven Guard. And whilst Corax and I aren't together anymore, he was rehomed for reasons because of my living situation and tenancy law in England, which is stupid. But there we go. That's just my opinion. But yeah, I also got to thinking, how does Corax, the Primarch, translate to anything to do with mental health? Well, it's an interesting one. I think his nascent ability to go undetected, to not be seen, that's quite telling. Given that he was downtrodden as a slave on Lycaeus, and how his ability to render himself invisible to the mind and things like that, you know, that's his ability, shadow walking. So basically acting without being seen. An awful lot of people who struggle with mental health, people who have ADHD, you know, you tend to sometimes wish you were invisible, because then you can be you without being judged. This is from, personal experience. So you tend to want to just be invisible for a while. Which of course isn't possible. But you can sort of just be unnoticed for a while. So hide away in your bedroom and everything else. And it's interesting that in the lore, obviously Corax rises up. He leads a rebellion and overthrows their oppressors, which is, that's fantastic. That's finding that strength within yourself to rise up against whatever's holding you back. And I think when you look at that side of things, you can sort of see the correlation between how the Raven Guard fight, stealth, sneak, everything's done on the quiet. And they do it so that they can go about their business without being detected. And for me, that's a big part in things like that to do with mental health. So yeah, just every now and then we all want to just be able to disappear. And I think the Raven Guard have been certainly written in a way where you could interpret that. Yeah, Corax is known as like the emo Primarch. That's the haircuts, let's face it. Although we have no idea. I mean, it is entirely plausible that the Raven Guard would go into battle listening to the Black Parade. Not sure what Abaddon would have to say about that. But yeah, it's for me. I can identify with Corax because it's just that he wants the best for everybody around him. And he sort of fought for it, but at what cost? And it's, for me, it's symbolic of like mental health struggles. And I think it's interesting that the Primarchs all fit into a category along those lines. So yeah, there you go, little ramble whilst I put the rest of Athelstan together. As I've said on posts in the past, I have struggled, still do struggle with mental health. I was only recently diagnosed with ADHD and the autism, but I've definitely struggled with depression for a very long time. And I don't want anyone to feel they're alone. So if you're ever struggling, please do drop me a message. Just anything. And I'll sit and talk with you. Whether you need it to be a voice message, a text chat, or just somebody to vent to. Just always here for people who are in need. So if that's you, please do reach out. And if you want to maybe discuss a different Primarch, make a suggestion, I'm open to them.